2023 is coming to a close, which means for many of us, it's now time to frantically search for the perfect gift for our loved ones. And if you're watching this channel, it probably means you're looking for some that are tabletop game related. Every year we put out a gift guide for you to find the perfect games that came out just this year for you to add to your gift collection. Now, as always, there are so many games that come out each year, so we only have a small handful, and we will separate them as always into light, moderate, and heavy games. But I'm adding an extra category for campaign games, as those have their own unique desires of whether you have the same group and the kinds of people who would enjoy that. So without further ado, let's dive in and see what games are perfect for you to buy as a gift for 2023. Our first category are light games. These are going to be games that usually fall under either being a little bit smaller, very quick playtime, or the rules are so simple and streamlined, you don't need a lot of experience in board gaming to basically be able to pick it up and play these. That being said, these should not be underestimated, for even the veteran gamer could have a lot of fun with these choices. So let's take a look and see if any of these fit what you're looking for.
Point City. The sequel to the popular Point Salad, Point City will have you drafting double-sided cards to help you build your resource engine and gain points from goals you collect throughout the game. Turns are quite simple. Simply take two adjacent cards and add them to your collection. But what cards you choose to take are rarely a simple choice. Everything Ever. If you're looking for a party game, Everything Ever is the perfect fit for you. This game comes with an enormous deck of cards, with each card having a category on it. On your turn, you will need to name something that matches each category for every card that's face up on the table. But if you're clever enough, you might be able to name just one thing that fits every single category on the table. If you do, you'll get a nice bonus. But take too long or make a mistake, and you're going to get a penalty. Unrest. This quick head-to-head game will have one player take on the role of the Resistance Force, while the other is the Empire. Each turn, the Resistance is going to play 3 cards, 1 face up and 2 face down. They will consist of a number and a suit. It's up to the Empire then to decide how to use their powers in order to try to figure out what the Resistance is up to and not to accidentally play into their hands. Where if the Resistance played their cards right, pun intended, they will be able to fulfill different goals that change each game. And if they can gain control of 3 districts, they have successfully overthrown the Empire. Lord of the Rings Adventure Book Game. I've already reviewed this one, so if you want more details, you can go check that one out. However, in short, you will play through the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Each chapter will have you take on different characters, moving around a board that is made up from a book, and you'll be playing cards to complete different objectives. But beware the temptation of the ring. The ring card can give you great power, but if you use it too much, you may fall to its corruption. Hollywood 1947. This is for the player who loves hidden role games and trying to suss out who is actually on your team. This game takes place in, you guessed it, Hollywood during the year 1947. You all want to make some movies, but your intentions are not as clear. Some of you want to make the most patriotic movies they can, while others want to add communistic values to the films. One may even just want to get as many movies out there as possible, not caring who's the one writing the final script. This is part of the Dark City series from Facade Games, which all come in beautiful book boxes, which also makes it the perfect addition to the shelf of a bookworm in your life. Retrograde. Another game I reviewed, this is perfect for the classic video gamer. Based on the old scrolling arcade games, you will be rolling dice all together to try and match unique arcade sheets that each player has. You want to get the perfect roll to destroy the most aliens on your sheet, but be warned, take too long and the best bonus cards will be taken by other players. This is a roll and write I had a lot of fun with, and if you want to learn more about it, you should definitely check out my review. Nemalia. This game is all about trying to build the best animal sanctuary by overlapping different cards that feature habitats and animals. What works best is going to drastically shift each round. The game not only has plenty of different goals, but the way you actually score each round shifts drastically. What goals actually earn you points each round shifts drastically. So at one round, you may be focusing a lot on polar bears, while the next one, you don't really care where they are in your sanctuary. Fugitive. Final game for the light category we have is Fugitive. This game actually has one player playing as a marshal and the other as the titular fugitive. As you can guess, the marshal's trying to catch the fugitive here. This game uses a deck of cards numbered 1 through 42, and the fugitive is trying to play cards slowly but surely to get to that 42 value. On the other hand, the marshal is trying to guess which cards the fugitive actually played, and if they can get every card revealed, then they have successfully caught the fugitive. So far, every game I've played has led to a very tight race, with both the marshal and the fugitive feeling like they're only one turn away from reaching their objective.
So plenty of games there, whether you're looking for something head-to-head or maybe something a bit more party-ish. However, it's time for us to move on to the moderate games. This is basically where a lot of board games are going to end up, ones that have a good solid play time, the ones that you can just take out a usual game night and play around with, that maybe take a little bit of playthroughs to learn, but these aren't going to be your heavy, super crunchy ones. So let's take a look and see if this category is more up your alley.
Star Wars, the deck building game. Star Wars, deck building, what not to love? This is a head-to-head deck builder in which one side takes on the role of the Empire, while the other plays as the rebel forces. You can either buy cards to strengthen your deck, or attack and take out the cards of your opponent's faction before they can recruit them. Master the Force, take advantage of the scum and villainy and see if you can take out your opponent by destroying 3 of their bases. If you want to know more, this is another one I have a review for that is just waiting for you to watch. Sky Team. Now, maybe you're looking for something a bit more cooperative. Sky Team has you work together with your fellow co-pilot in order to land your plane around the world. Using dice, you'll need to balance the plane's axis, speed, and when to deploy land gear. And of course, there are plenty of other issues to deal with, such as weather, traffic, leaks, and more. With tons of destinations, scenarios, and challenges, this will keep you and your fellow pilot busy for hours. Thunder Road Vendetta. Restoration Games is always a great company to look for gifts, as they re-gift old games by giving them a modern game facelift, and Thunder Road is no exception. Race in your post-apocalyptic style cars, bashing into opponents, firing rounds in those ahead of you, all the while trying to avoid the debris and obstacles on the track. This game does a great job of adding that extra bit of flair while racing, and can often lead to crazy chain of events that may lead you to destroying more cars than you expected. But hey, that's not a bad thing, right? Fit to print. It's up to you to bring the news to the people in this tile-laying game. This is a simultaneous play game where players will all frantically be collecting tile pieces to fit onto their newspaper, with each round increasing the size of your paper. You'll need to balance articles, photos, and ads in order to have a winning newspaper. And if simultaneous play isn't your thing, there are plenty of other alternate modes, including one for the solo fans out there. Kapow! This actually just received a new edition from Wise Wizard Games this year, and now has 2 volumes out. But don't worry, each volume works on their own or can be mixed and matched, so you don't have to worry about which one you're going to pick up. Both feature villains and heroes that you play as, trying to take the other out in head-to-head or in a 4-player brawl. This is a dice pool building game where you'll be gaining dice of different colors in order to activate the abilities on your specific hero or villain. But what really makes this game shine and what drew it to me initially is that you'll also be crafting dice. You'll have a die where you'll be able to add and remove faces to. So if you want to play more defensively, maybe add some more defense symbols to that die. If you want to trigger more abilities, well, maybe craft it to perfectly fit whatever your character desires. If you love rolling dice, or know someone who does, you have to take a look at this game. Cosmo Octopus. Blessed be the purple tentacled one, for in this game, we do the inky one's bidding in order to bring it into our world. You will play as devotees, either competitive or cooperatively, using constellations, dreams, artifacts, and tomes to try to collect 8 tentacles. The game itself is a resource management and engine building, balancing which of the 4 kinds of cards you play in order to collect tentacles as quickly as possible. Illiterati. For the wordsmiths out there, this one's for you. This is actually a cooperative word game, where you will all have to use the word tiles on the table to make as many words as possible in the time limit, while also trying to complete personal goals that each player has. However, it's never quite that simple. The illiterati will be getting in the way, messing with words, destroying exact letters that you need, and basically causing problems for you. This is an absolute blast and will have players shouting for letters if anyone needs a vowel, or what can anyone possibly do with this cue? Undaunted, Battle for Britain. Undaunted is a series that's been around for a while, and this is just the newest entry to it. Admittedly, this is the first Undaunted game I played, and after playing it, it made me wish I started earlier. It is a deck builder, but adds tabletop combat into the mix. In this entry, you move planes, fighting each other as either the Luftwaffe or the RAF during World War II. Your cards not only represent what units you can activate, but also how much life they have. When you damage an enemy, your opponent has to remove a card matching that type to either a card in their hand, deck, or discard. If they cannot, you've successfully destroyed the enemy aircraft. The Fox Experiment. The Fox experiment comes from famous game designer Elizabeth Hargrave of Wingspan fame. Based on a real-life experiment involving fox breeding, you will be matching different pairs of foxes together in order to make new offspring and see how tame you can make these foxes. And when you make those foxes, you will actually mark them off with dry eraser on their perks, as well as giving them an adorably cute name. You will then add them back in the pool as each player makes more and more unique foxes.
A lot of great fun games for you to try out here, and admittedly, I felt like this year there were a lot more games that sort of straddled the line where I would decide to put them into heavy or put them into the moderate, almost like they're heavy moderates or they're light heavies. So it was hard to decide which path they would go on. More often than not, it came down to, while maybe sometimes the game looks complicated, the actual rules themselves aren't too hard. However, that still left some to be maybe just heavy or crunchy enough to move on to our next category, which, if you haven't guessed, are the heavy games. These are going to be the ones that last a few hours usually, ones that require probably a good amount of time of someone either reading the rules or a very nice how to play video for you to learn how to actually play this game. And more often than not, if you're like our play group, you're probably going to have to look up some of the rulings on some interactions on Board Game Geek. But without further ado, let's take a look at these heavy hitters.
Expeditions. This is the story sequel to the extremely popular Scythe. Set in the same world after the events of Scythe, now it is in danger from strange meteorites that have been landing throughout the land. Move your mech as you explore, complete quests, and power yourself up. You'll be placing cards around your mech, tucking them under the board in order to get more powerful abilities, and of course, score more points at the end of the game. Unlike Scythe though, this one is much less confrontational, so if you're looking for that big game but don't want to butt heads with everyone at the table, this may be one for you to take a look at. Earth. Not to be confused with the planet, Earth is already a very popular game, and I would not be shocked if it appears on a lot of people's top 10 lists at the end of the year. In this game, you will control your own ecosystem as you manage flora and fauna in order to create a thriving environment. This is an engine builder where you'll be managing the growth of your plants, personal and public objectives, as well as which actions are best for you versus others, as this is a game as where whatever action you take will also give actions to your opponents. Freelancers, a crossroad game. Part of Plaid Crossroad Games, Freelancer is perfect for this story lover out there. This is a game that both pays homage and jokes on the D&D theme it's based on, and will more often than not have people laughing every other round. You will be playing as a group of heroes, trying their best to complete strange objectives, gain hilarious titles, and gain some silly but pretty awesome upgrades. The previous Forgotten Waters was my game of the year a while back, and I'm sure Freelancers will score just as high on my list this year. Nucleum. In an alternate timeline, Saxony has become a powerhouse of technology and innovations, all thanks to the discovery of Nucleum, aka nuclear power. You will be building up the network to feed this new power-hungry world, setting up the rail lines, transporting uranium to the power plants, and securing land and contracts in your favor. This new euro just hit the market and is already creating quite the buzz, so if this one sounds good to you, I'd hurry up and pick it up before it sells out. Kuntahora. Work to build your Czech city of, well, you guessed it, Kuntahora in this new euro from CGE. In this game, you will take on the role of different guilds, either building up the town above ground or the mines down below. You collect different resources, but the value shifts as gameplay progresses and what other players do. At one moment, the wood may be selling extremely high, but then soon after, the price could drop drastically. Managing when to buy and sell will be key to coming out on top in this game. If a more realistic supply and demand game is what you're looking for, Kuntahora will be one that will intrigue you. Dune Imperium Uprising. A standalone sequel to the beloved Dune Imperium. If you haven't heard of it, I highly suggest you check out our review on the previous one first. It blends deck building with worker placement in a fantastic way, all with the amazing Dune theme. This new standalone brings, of course, new cards, worm miniatures that you can control, and a new 6-player team mode. While this is designed to be its own base, it can mix with the previous expansions, as well as apparently almost all the cards from the other base game. So plenty of games for you to choose from if you're looking for something a bit more challenging to hit the table. Though weirdly enough, I feel a lot of them came out more closer to the end of the year. In fact, I only just got my own review copy for Nucleum a few days ago before recording this, so I haven't had the chance to play it, but I'm really excited to have that hit the table. But it's time that we move on to what usually is just included in heavy, but I decided to make its own category, and that's campaign games. That's because the idea of a campaign in and of itself
usually requires the same amount of work as one would almost expect for these larger, heavy games. It's usually a large time commitment. More often than not, it requires the same people to meet over and over and over. That said, a lot of these campaign games may be actually lighter or legacy versions, so to speak, where you use stickers and pens of games that would fall under the moderate or even light style of gameplay. So the challenge rather isn't the game mechanics and, well, gameplay and strategy, but the idea of just convincing people to meet with you multiple times to play the same game. So this is going to be its own separate thing, and you can find out if any of these campaign games fit the kind of group you're looking for or the people that you can either bribe or blackmail.
Dorfromantik. Okay, technically this is a 2022 game, but it came out stateside in 2023, so I'm counting it. Partially because this game has been nominated and won tons of board game awards, so I think it's fair for me to put it on a gift list. This is based on actually a video game, though here, this could be played solo or up to 6 players. As you play, you'll unlock more tiles, components, and of course, more ways for you to gain a higher score throughout the campaign. Legacy of You. So this one is a solo-only campaign game where you play as you, trying to prevent deadly floods from along the Yellow River. Gameplay lasts through 7 games, win or loss, as you play through not only You's story, but unlock more game components to help you protect the village. And as it's designed with only solo players in mind, this is a great choice for the player, maybe yourself, who's more used to playing more solo modes in games or just the single-player video games. Ticket to Ride Legacy Legends of the West. This is the legacy version of Ticket to Ride. You will start with a map only showing the east coast of the United States and slowly unlock more and more as you head west. You'll be placing stickers, retiring cards, as anything to be expected in a legacy game. I don't want to say too much else, so I can leave the rest to you as a surprise. But I will say this, I just finished the campaign myself and had a great experience. For me at least, it was definitely worth the ticket price. Sagrada Artisans. Another legacy version of a popular game, Sagrada Artisans has you color in stained glass windows with colored pencils. As the game progresses, you unlock more and more complicated windows, as well as maybe some other goodies and powers. But once again, no spoilers here. I have been enjoying the campaign so far, and I'm sure I'll have more to say once I finish it. Pathfinder 2nd Edition Remaster. How can we not have a campaign section without mentioning any RPG? I mentioned Pathfinder here not because it is new, Pathfinder has been around for a while, but they just released their new remaster books. This uses their new orc system, meaning it uses nothing from the previous borrowed D&D OGL terms and rules. If you want to know why this is important, you can watch my videos about the OGL that were at the beginning of the year. However, if you just want to roll up a character, check out these new reworked books. I hope this list helped you and maybe gave you some ideas of what gifts you can give out this year. And as always, previous holiday gift guides are actually still just as good because if a game didn't come out this year, doesn't mean it's not fun. There are so many games released every year. I can't put them all on one list. So finding a diamond in the rough is actually quite easy when it comes to all the board games that have been released. But if you want another bonus little secret when it comes to tabletop gamers, one of the best gifts you can buy for them might not actually be a game, but rather accessories. Sleeves, dice towers, paints or brushes if they do miniature stuff. Those kinds of things are always the items that we think about buying, but we always put behind because we're like, well, instead I'll buy that new game or that expansion. So when you're able to get those accessories that help protect or just bling up their game, they will always be super happy to add that to their collection. But it's time for you to let me know, what did I miss? Or is there something else you highly recommend for people to buy as gifts for the tabletop gamer in your life? You can leave all your suggestions and comments, of course, in the comments down below. But for now, thank you so much for watching. I'm Will, and I hope you make someone very happy with your gifts.